Thank you for staying with us. And now the news for today, and we're starting with The Nation. Major headline, Saraki writes off PDP convention. AMCON officials, lawyers face contempt charges for alleged contravention of court orders. And then we have this huge advertorial of Dr. Peter Ayodele Fayose. The president congratulates Fayose on his 65th birthday. And it's an advertorial that's sponsored by Osoko political family.
Oshoko. You know more like jollof rice and chicken.
Okay. Please, what do we have?
The irony of the front page where
what's the irony?
They call us
PDP.
Rights of the convention by the former Senate president. And the president now just doing by the shout out to a PDP member on the front page of the Nation.
It's one love.
It's one love.
One Nigeria.
The more you look, the less you see.
That's Nigerian politics.
Okay, what do we have for today?
Former Senate President Bukola Saraki has, called on the PDP to set up a national caretaker committee instead of organizing this, what he calls the controversial national convention. He says that the convention that is proposed, as he is seeing it, would further divide the PDP. He said instead of that, he proposes a caretaker committee should instantly embark on reconciliation and unite the platform. Okay. But they are already disagreeing with him. The chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Adolphus Wabara, disagrees, saying that the convention will not worsen anything. They should go ahead. And the National Administrator of the National Judicial Institute, Justice Obatunde Adejumo, said, well, there's nothing strange with for courts of coordinate jurisdiction, that's courts of the same jurisdiction, giving conflicting orders. He says that's nothing big there. But Saraki insisted on his Twitter page that he has made his position known to the reconciliation team set up by the Wabara-led BOT, and that he said that despite selfless and arduous effort from patriotic members, the proposed convention has become mired in extensive controversy. You'd see the way the Bayelsa governor, who was supposed to be part of the committee leading this convention, the way he decamped and all of that. A lot of them are claiming there is division within the party, even though the PDP is insisting things should go as normal. But then he's written it off. I think that's his position.
Yes. Anyone else?
Yes, I had the story on the suspension of the implementation of the 15% petrol tax. They call it ad valorem, that was meant to be implemented right now. So it's been suspended. This information came out from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority yesterday. They said the suspension on this, that's PMS and diesel, is because they wanted to ensure that the supply is consistent, especially during this peak period, November, December. However, the statement is that by first Q1 of 2026, implementation will start. The Ogun State Chamber of Commerce and Mines and Agriculture, as well as the Nigerian Coalition of Civil Society Organization, have felt that they faulted the suspension. They feel like the decision was a good one. People already understood its impact on the economy, and this was a bit wrong. But like I said, the people that suspended it felt that because of the season, they didn't want there to be disruption in availability of products. Supply and distribution shouldn't be disrupted during the peak season that we are in. So we're hoping that by Q1 it will be implemented.
Maya, do you have a story?
Yes, I do. Here, our very own President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has congratulated the Super Eagles on their victory 4-1 over Gabon that they played yesterday at the FIFA World Cup qualifying African playoff match. And he urged the team to continue to do better, to continue to take us to greater heights. He said they should remain focused. He described the performance as, that we Nigerians, we always prevail, we are always courageous. He gave them, all the accolades, and he also praised the coaching staff and the entire technical and administrative crew for their commitment to the national cause and all that. But I also remember, or let me just use this as a medium, because I'm on Tuesday, the Eagles boycotted the training on Tuesday based on unpaid bonuses since 2019. Okay. So I just feel like, okay, this time around they deserve everything as they've taken us to victory.
When we play football,
but they should pay them their dues since 2019. Come on.
The Punch is the next paper. And the major headline is Ibadan Convention. PDP delegates arrive amid Saraki's cancellation move. National Assembly shifts YXCBT adoption to 2030. Genocide interview. Don't panic, Piers Morgan tells Tuga. Airlines reject fresh $11.50 NIS fee. And Tinubu shifts 15% fuel import duty to Q1 2026. What do we have in the Punch?
Okay, so the Honourable Member Kelechi Wogo has moved a motion on the floor of the House of Reps. He says the need for intervention to avert, that's the title of the motion, the need for intervention to avert massive failure in the proposed 2026 WAEC computer-based examination. And based on this motion, the House, of course, gave a directive to suspend it, to shift the CBT exams for WAEC. They are looking at it. The lawmaker was warning that rushing into the CBT model would trigger widespread failure, frustration, and mental distress among students, insisting that the Ministry of Education is determined to proceed with the digital examination format despite objections from the National Union of Teachers, heads of schools, especially the schools in rural areas where over 70% of candidates are located. And he said that most schools, particularly outside the urban centers, lack functional computer laboratories, internet access, reliable electricity, and trained ICT teachers. And so the House of Reps has ordered that the Ministry of Education and the West African Examination Council suspend the planned introduction of the CBT computer-based testing for the 2026 WAEC Senior School Certificate Examination.
Okay, so who has airlines reject 11?
Yes, I do have that story. Pretty short and straightforward. The airline operators of Nigeria have said that the controversial $11.50 charge set to take off the 1st of December, initiated by the Nigerian Immigration Service, but announced and set to be enforced by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCA, that they rejected it. They said that they've described that an additional burden on an already struggling aviation sector and further burden on operators despite being passed on to passengers would not be necessary right now. It was the person that gave this statement, speaking to journalists on Wednesday, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, is the spokesperson of the Airline Operators of Nigeria and chairman of United Nigeria Airlines, has expressed this deep concern. He argued that the new fee was unnecessary, counterproductive to the health of the aviation sector, and he said that multiple taxes are beginning to force many airlines onto their knees, appealing to the government to support domestic airlines just like developed countries support their own carriers.
Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the papers. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at today's papers, and we're looking. Do you have a story in the Punch?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. Court sentences Okada rider to death for raping, killing minor in Ondo State. So the Ondo State High Court, Akure Division, yesterday sentenced a commercial motorcyclist, otherwise known as Okada rider Dare Ojo, to death by hanging for raping and killing a minor identified as Zainab Adeyemo. And this happened, they said he committed the offense on July 17th, 2020, while he was conveying the 11-year-old girl to markets. The mother sent her to the market with the Okada rider. And during the trial, the court held that the girl's mother was one that transported the girl, put the girl on the bike for him to take her to the market. But when she failed to arrive on time, the worried mother called the market women and asked about the whereabouts of her daughter, and they said they didn't see the girl. And that's where the family, reached, started running helter-skelter, searching with a search party, where they later, in the community, they found the girl's naked body, and she was already dead. And from there, they got the man, but he initially denied it. But they said here that the examiner, the pathologist from the Federal Medical Center, after they saw when they investigated it, they saw signs of struggle on the victim and the rapes, sign on her and everything, and they eventually arrested him, and he's begging for leniency. He said it was the devil's work, and they've sentenced him to death, to life imprisonment for rape under Section 31, subsection 1(3) of the Ondo State Child Rights Law 2007, and death by hanging for murder under Section 319, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code.
Somebody sign it as quickly as possible.
Let's look at the next paper. The Daily Sun. Confusion continues over PDP convention. Wike accuses military of intimidation, alleges election rigging plot by Buratai in 2019. Mixed reaction as federal government suspends 15% import duty on petrol, diesel. Multiple charges suffocating domestic airlines. GHL, AMCON officials, lawyers, others face contempt for misleading court. Insecurity, unstable electricity, top list of threats to Nigerian businesses, according to a CBN survey, and Nigeria at critical juncture, according to OB. What do we have in the Daily Sun?
Okay. I have the GHL, that's the General Hydrocarbons Limited, and its directors and shareholders have started the contempt proceedings against senior officials of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. They are insisting AMCON misled the Federal High Court into obtaining an ex parte order that restrained them, because prior to that, according to them, they said AMCON failed to disclose to Justice Akintola Aluko that Justice Lewis Alagua had restrained AMCON initially from appointing or continuing any receivership obtained under the other ex parte, and that he had restrained them from taking any steps whatsoever towards appointing or continuing with any appointment of a receiver over the General Hydrocarbon Limited. And following this, they brought a process. I don't want to read all the details of the process. I think that Sun just captured all the legalese, which will be a bit confusing for general viewers. But basically, the concept is that they didn't obey the initial court order and went ahead to deceive the court, to get a new court order.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have this one from chronic. They said chronic disease, kidney disease, is now the 9th leading cause of death globally, and they've said this hidden epidemic is going undetected in its early stage, is now the 9th greatest cause of death globally, taking more lives every year and placing an increasing cost on public health. The global analysis that was published by researcher with the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, they revealed that the number of adults living with chronic kidney disease has more than doubled over the past 3 decades, from about 378 million in 1990 to nearly 788 million in 2023. The rise, they said, is driven by age population, unhealthy diet, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and all different common types, both in developed countries and underdeveloped nations. And they've said that it's responsible for nearly 1 to 8 cardiovascular deaths. And they said this chronic kidney disease arises when the kidney gradually loses the ability to filter waste and excess fluid from the body. And they are calling on people to make sure that they increase their healthy lifestyle to prevent this disease.
Yeah, so I have a story in Daily Sun. The report was carried out by the CBN, and it is called the Business Expectation Survey. In that survey, they interviewed 1,900 businesses within Nigeria to understand what the challenges were. And they said that the top challenges that businesses are facing in Nigeria, number one is insecurity. 71% of correspondents, 71.8% pointed towards insecurity. Then 70% complaints about high cost of power, insufficient power, and the high cost of power generation, and multiple taxes, interest rates from like 70 down to like 50%, which they graded for them. 50%, what was around 50% was more of infrastructure, but many of them did not talk about political risk. So the CBN observed that financial pressure outweighs political risk for business owners in Nigeria. I'm happy they have the data. I'm wondering how that will be used. They said confidence is expected to rise further in firms anticipating increase in demand, high sales and rebound of their activities. Long and short is, it is pretty universal that the real problem that Nigerians are facing is insecurity, power challenges, multiple taxation, high cost of funding. Loans are too expensive for businesses to thrive. If government can sort these ones, companies will thrive. All
right, let's go on to our next paper, The Vanguard. A major headline: no religious persecution, genocide in Nigeria. Osimhen shoots Super Eagles past Gabon. Nigeria 4, Gabon 1. That's what I expect. So to meet Congo DRC in playoff final on Sunday. Then FBN Quest Mareva injunction against Nest Oil and Necond has expired by operation of law. And we have AMCON officials and lawyers face alleged contempt charges for contravention of court orders, which we have already taken. Anyone here?
Go on.
No? Okay, let's quickly go to the Tribune. I have respect for military, but abhor lawlessness. This according to Wike. Reps move to suspend 2026 WAEC computer-based examination policy. We've taken that. Senate launches probe into stamp duty revenue. NCP approves BPE move to cede Afam power plant to Transcorp Power Consortium. PDP seeks to join Bayelsa deputy governor's suit against moves to impeach him. Federal government halts planned 15% import duty on petrol, diesel. Troops fall abduction of 74 NYC members in Borno. How misinformation on capital gains tax sparked 4.6 trillion naira market loss. Any story?
Yeah, taxes.
Okay.
Well, not tax, stamp duty.
Okay.
The Senate have demanded full disclosure of the probe of stamp duty collection. Can we just wipe it away? Nigerians are suffering. Anyway, the Senate has launched a far-reaching investigation into stamp duty collection as it runs into trillions of naira. So they are asking for disclosure from all commercial banks. They've also asked for disclosure from the CBN as well as the FIRS and state governments. The chairman of the Senate's Public Accounts Committee, Senator Ahmed Aliyu Wadada, gave this indication in Abuja, and he said that they follow more concerns because this sum is huge. Between 2016 and 2024, much of which this money remains unaccounted for. So it's one thing to generate revenue. It's another thing to ensure that it's judiciously utilized. According to the senator in charge, the legislature cannot afford to look another way when trillions of naira is at stake from Nigerians' pockets. So he's committed to going through everything that has taken place over the past 8 years, and he has asked the CBN to provide corresponding data on what the banks remitted and what the CBN transferred to the TSA, so that we then know how it was entirely disbursed. But really, this is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So definitely, people are paying, whether we like it or not. From our transactions, the government is making a lot of money.
Yeah. Let me take this story. Insecurity. Troops foil abduction of 74 NYC members in Borno. They say troops of the Joint Task Force. Let me finish the story first. Northeast Operation Hide and K have rescued 74 members of NYC from a possible abduction by Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists along the Burutai Kamuya Way Road in Borno State. They said that the core members, 36 males, 38 females, were rescued at about 9:05 p.m. on Tuesday after their vehicle broke down near a known kidnapping hotspot, and that the military, having seen on a CCTV system, noticed what had happened. They said the troops detected suspicious movement involving 3 buses at the location. On arrival, troops discovered that 74 NYC members were stranded after their vehicles developed mechanical faults. The troops immediately rescued them to prevent a likely abduction attempt by Boko Haram. So well done to
Nigerian troops
for being proactive.
Yes.
Thank you. And that's all we can take on the pages of the papers today. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll move to our hot topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.